I finally got it.
Finally, you found something. Did they order it in special for you?
I think so.
Did you get a telegram that said your order is in the shop?
It's very dewy, very sweaty. No, I went to Sainsbury's, and I only wanted one can, but they sold them in packs of 6 or 8 or something. I was like, fine, you know what? It's either this or nothing. So I did it. Just so
nothing else in the shop. There's just blood orange, nothing else.
Just the whole bit, which will now be lost, but not really to time, just because it's a thing that we do, is that blood orange almost sounds like a death metal version of an orange. So we've taken to every time Alex or I get a blood orange thing, we go blood like that with this claw. You've got to do the claw as well. It's important. It's an integral part.
Like you're lighting a birthday cake on stage.
Happy birthday to you. I can't open it because I bite my fingernails and it's slippery. So, but I have this hairbrush and it may. Yes, see, hunter-gatherer instincts right there, because you find a hairbrush in the wild, don't you?
Yeah, a very, very shiny, very chrome-like orange
there we go.
Brush.
Oh no, I got some on my mic. That's for our OnlyFans right there.
Some free content, just a little taster of what you can get on our OnlyFans.
A sneak peek, but spelt with an A instead of an E, which really fucks me off. Like, sneak peek, it's a tiny bit of a mountain, just the tiniest bit.
Well, it could be a sneak peek spelt Q-U-E.
That's even wrong. That's even wronger.
Even wronger.
It's even wrongerer than sneak peak. Why don't you just spell sneak S-N-E-K-E while you're at it? So it's snake peak, which is where you find the finest in invertebrates.
Wait a minute.
What?
Snakes have a skeleton. They've got internal bones.
Oh, what am I thinking of then that isn't?
Jellyfish. Dry and wet insects would be considered invertebrates.
I learned something today at 34 years old. Snakes have skeletons. I thought they were just a big mushy tube.
It's just like a worm but bigger, and also sometimes venomous. Big old worm boy. Good. Please hold.
I actually choked on my fucking drink. It's on my pillow. Oh wow, what a dramatic start to the episode. Right, just roll the credits and we'll pick up after this. Fuck!
Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under. Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with horrendous generic beat. Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under. Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under.
Welcome back to what is surely going to be another top-tier episode of Oars and Adventure. I'm Sam.
And I'm Alex, and together we're going to drag you through this kicking, optionally screaming, and maybe choking.
Well, definitely choking. I hope this isn't a recurring theme through the podcast.
Do I now need to be sympathetic to your plight? Do I need to now try and drink a drink and inhale it instead?
Please don't, because there's only enough room on this podcast for one idiot that doesn't know how to swallow water in his mid-30s. So anyway, just a little thing we did after the recording of the last episode is I purchased a custom URL from Fast Hosts.
It was I took a shit while a homeless man watched.com.
It was. Now, it didn't cost much, so it was definitely worth it for the bit. But either through me not paying attention to the terms and conditions or not responding to their verification email, I got an email a couple of days later that says your URL has been rejected because it violates our terms of service. Which is a little disappointing. On another matter of internet-based things, I was curious to see how much your shonky Mal watch costs.
Oh, that, yeah.
Don't know if you've looked it up, but I found it on eBay. If it's one of those exactly and not a replica, you're sitting on not a small fortune, but a nice bit of pocket money, really. It's tourist trap tat, no doubt. But I think maybe because they don't make that particular one anymore, it's suddenly worth something, because that's how humans attribute value to things.
Yeah, I'm somewhat surprised. I thought that when I stumbled across a pair of, I think they were AKG condenser microphones that someone was throwing out, and I was like, you don't want these. And I sold them for like £100 a piece. I was like, that's a good flip, because they cost me literally nothing, and they were about this big, so I just went in the pocket they went, and yeah, I'd sell them on eBay.
Anyway, shall we get on with it?
I guess so.
It was surprisingly entertaining answering questions last week, so I've decided to get some more out of our friends. I mean, they're people on the internet that we totally do not know, for some more questions.
So question 1, B asks, what Olympic sport do you think you'd be best at? Also worst, and why? Because, you know, you all love dem sports.
Isn't the Olympics on this year, finally? It's on Japan, I believe.
I think, confusingly, Japan 2020 is happening this year.
I am categorically shite at endurance, strength, coordination, teamwork, or directly competing with other people. So that's pretty much all sports, isn't it? I suppose shooting, like clay pigeon shooting, because you don't have to move around. And I've shot a gun before, and I was all right at it. I think I got like 4 out of 10 clay pigeons when we did the shotgun thing a few Christmases ago. My dad just took us to, like, on Boxing Day. I was like, hey, do you want to come to a shooting range and shoot things with guns?
Fire a gun?
It's like, yes, I do.
Oh, I remember. Was this the one we went to where they were like, yeah, come along. And they said, oh, yeah, by the way, when you're already there in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, we need money out of you.
You could have told us this before. You basically held us hostage because they gave us a lift there. Oh, classic. Anyway, I think it was worth it. So, yeah, shooting or the high dive, just because watching a pale blob of a human graciously topple into some water has some kind of comedic value. I think the judges might go, oh, that was funny. The worst at synchronized swimming, just because when I'm normally swimming, it looks like I'm being dragged underwater by an angry shark. So I wouldn't be able to swim next to other people in a shape or in a pattern. And I'm very uncoordinated when it comes to dancing. And it's basically doing that, but in the water. That would just be absolutely terrible. I think my teammates would probably drown me, and then they would get a 9 out of 10 for drowning. A
very artistic drowning.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was almost like that scene in Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance.
There's many.
Well, okay, right. He's in the water, and he cuts the guy's Achilles tendons and then drowns him.
Ah, yeah, that right.
That one. Spoiler.
Like
it's grim.
Spoiler.
Anyway, so that was my answer. Do you...
So I guess like archery or something, like, or shooting as well. Again, I have an interest in those kinds of things. So I guess I wouldn't be too bad at the old patoying.
Exactly.
Although I think I'd probably be worse at doing any of that whilst also skiing. So I think there's that winter event where you have a gun and you have skis. And you have to sort of ski about and then go bam and then ski about some more.
Bloody hell, that sounds like some James
Bond. This is
Bond.
how you ski.
Just shooting
I'm
fucking 12-bore shotgun on a fucking pair of skis. Boom, just fly off the skis. Jesus!
I think you're meant to stop, but I know what would happen is I'll just sort of, I don't know, legs akimbo, I'd shoot myself or something stupid.
You'd shoot yourself off the mountain. Cut to Princess Bride style rolling downhill, but in the snow.
Yeah. It's inconceivable.
Between us, we agreed that we would be good at shooty thingies, but bad at also moving along or doing anything.
Yeah.
I think coordination, two things at once, is not a thing that I can do. I can't even drink and laugh at once without, inhaling the water. I keep switching up. I'm drinking the blood orange. Sorry, the blood orange and the choky juice. But I'm very glad that I found this because, as you know, I had a real time finding it. But I suppose if I went onto Facebook Marketplace, they would probably be selling, knowing my luck, empty cans or something. Like just...
That was smooth, real smooth. Like a pear cider made from 100% hog. Facebook swipey McDoodads. On local buy sells, sometimes when the admins care or not, there are some various things that have been attempted to be sold. I've got what do you think this is to start with? Hair tool.
Okay. Hair tool.
It's called a hair tool.
Well, as a man that has hair, I use a hairbrush. This is what I'd class as a hair tool because it's something that helps your hair look less unkempt. But maybe a crimper as well. That could be known as a hair tool or straighteners.
Yeah, you got to it. It's a pair of hair Well, it's not really a pair of hair. It's a brush that straightens your hair, and it's a heat brush 2.0.
What is the advancement from the 1.0, I wonder?
Clearly the superior model.
Of course. Your everyday, everywhere hairbrush. I like that they've used 2 different fonts for that as well, for some reason.
Yeah. I also like that they've shared their own ad to make it another ad.
Oh yeah, it's like
an item.
It's an ad within an ad.
Adception.
So it's great when they tell you how much they purchased it for, so it makes it sound like you're getting a really good deal. Purchase for $65, never use brand new. Learn how to use commas.
Won't you please think of the children? and use commas.
Do you reckon they've never used it because it randomly just set on the bed on fire one day or something when it wasn't even plugged in? I was like, we need to get rid of this cursed object.
They just left it somewhere and it was thrumming with power. It's too much for my own hair.
Whilst I can see the practical applications of that, I don't think I would ever use it on my own hair, to be honest.
Brush your pubes into a nice long set of locks.
Jesus Christ, how long are your pubes? No, I do not want to know
Not
that.
that long. Not that long.
As long as your beard.
Oh no, it's not mercifully. I would just be like, no, thank you. The next one is it's what someone's comment is that's silly.
Okay.
So, hello, I'm curious if anyone has a unit for rent or a garage they don't use in which they would be interested in renting out. Thanks. A person, and the only response to this was someone who just put F. F.
Were they paying their respects?
Yes. Throws a bit of dirt on them, yeah. F.
What's that like? Why? Like, doesn't even make sense. Why would you just put the letter F?
F.
Oh dear. I suppose because it's quite a clumsy sentence, maybe they were pressing F to pay their respects to the death of structured English language, perhaps. I'm not quite sure.
F. The final one for now is free conservative.
I'm sorry, what? Is that a
Free
statement, a question, an offer? Like,
Free conservative. It's free. What is it?
I don't want a free Tory. I don't want one. Keep them. I don't. We don't want to free the Tories unless we are freeing them from being not in the sea to in the sea. But other than that, I couldn't imagine what this person meant when they said free conservative. Right.
What they mean is conservatory. Free to anyone who wants to dismantle themselves.
I just got to dismantle myself. Do I have to do it before your eyes so you can see me dismantle myself, and then you offer the conservative to me?
You stand in front of someone, and then all of the bonds between the atoms in your body just stop working, and then you just turn into a gas.
The thing is, a conservatory is part of your house. How are you just going to walk along with a screwdriver and just go, I'm just here to dismantle your conservatory so I can just take it in my Ford pickup and just drive off with it? What the fuck does that even mean?
I never imagined that that's a thing that you could do, but I guess you can because they're kind of knockdown kits.
If it's that easy to dismantle and take away with you, I'm assuming same day, and it's free because they don't want it anymore, that's not the sort of conservatory you want on your house, is it really? It's not the sort of conservatory that I could see myself vomiting out a window onto whilst everyone was standing inside, for instance.
It hasn't got the right corrugations on the roof for it to really sort of get in there, really stick to the roof.
And cause an eventual blockage in the drain, which somebody will have to unclog and go, why are there just bits in here? Bits that don't belong to nature. Like, you're in this.
Yeah.
That was quite something. I suppose if they were getting rid of it, if you just dumped it at the side of the road, it's only a matter of time before some Jebend will come along and try and spray their graffiti tag on it or something, because that's what people are like. Now, graffiti can be artistic, though. This whole, upping of the standard of graffiti probably came to pass when, a couple of months ago now, we had a genuine Banksy in Nottingham. It was just on the side of a shop, I think. It got taken away, and everyone was furious, like, oh no! But everybody seems to be forgetting about we have our own enigmatic street artist, known simply as Carrot. I personally began seeing his tags around in 2016/2017. I saw a few on a few lampposts. It's just like this really tiny carrot symbol thing. And I was like, well, what does this mean? There's a couple that have a carrot and then the word eat underneath it. And I was just like, maybe someone wants us to eat our carrots. Then I noticed there was a really big one on like some hoarding outside like a building development thing. And to be honest, it just looked like a massive penis because it was kind of poorly drawn. I've seen in other places where they're really intricately designed or like coloured in and like clearly spent a lot of time on it, and usually interwoven with other people's tags. And it made me sort of like do a bit of investigating. I was like, I want to know what this carrot is about. And I really struggled to find anything for ages, but then I went on Left Line's website, which is an independent Nottingham-based magazine publication, and they had a short interview with him, and now I'm going to read bits of that interview out just to shed some light on this carrot character, really, which I thought was just kind of fascinating.
Perhaps character?
Oh God! That was a pun. I could smell that from here.
Oh, my spleen!
A pun so powerful it ruptures people's spleens upon hearing it.
Do you or a loved one require some time away? To have someone who can listen without resorting to a groan, where everyone can introduce themselves as "I'm Dad," without shame. Come stay with us at Dr. Gavins' relaxing retreat for restful relaxation. At DGRRRR, we specialise in the treatment of all manifestations of dad joke and pun injury, be they mental, physical, or metaphysical. Maladies such as overslapped thighs, distended eyeballs, sides that have split or are in the process of splitting, ruptured spleens, and many more are tended to with compassion and care. DGRRRR is known internationally for its discreet and discreet services. Call now, and all inquirers will receive a nice, warm hug. Remember, at DGRRRR, rest is de rigueur.
Oh, my spleen! Internal bleeding, whoops-a-doodle.
Oh, shit. Internal smacking my mic.
Bone smack the teeth. I've just licked my mic.
Shrimp fed the chimney. Call me Chef Boiled Tea. Anyway.
Yeah.
Just give them a minute, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be fine. It's all right. Gonna drink some...
Boiled tea. Anyway.
So Left Lion
My
asks,
spleen.
why carrots? And he says, my grandma makes amazing carrots. Me and my family love them. She'd boil them in sugar, then put them in honey and butter and stuff. He started drawing them, and the first time he went out to do a painting, it was a carrot. He forgot all about it, and 3 years later came across a 35mm photo of it and remembered. Kind of went from there. The carrot has turned into a sort of crew, with a few of us putting up a few in different countries. So now it's turned into a bit of a cult, a carrot cult, if you will. So that's quite fascinating, I thought, because that goes back to my views on who Banksy is, or rather are, because I believe that Banksy is more than one person, because Banksy has no real identity outside of those that clearly know who they are. And it may or may not be one half of Massive Attack, but that's another thing entirely.
And it makes sense that if you're not known, if there's no face to the Banksy or Carrot or whoever, it can be anyone. Anyone can take on that mantle. Anyone can become the Bat.
That's exactly how I refer to it as well. When in my inner monologue, I always think about Batman and how he says anyone can become Batman. Or, the Bat. I am the Bat.
Where are the other drugs going?
So, is there any more meaning behind the tag? And he says, food waste is a big one. It comes down to consumerism and our wasteful society, making things out of found objects. So as he was painting the carrots, he started living a really basic lifestyle, not buying anything new, always buying secondhand, trying to buy from little local stores and trying to do the right thing. But he always fucked up. You can never do everything, which is, again, looping back to being vegan or vegetarian, everyone expects you to be like this perfect example of humanity. It's like, no, we're still fuck ups. We're just trying.
Still like chips, I just don't eat meat.
Exactly. Like, give me that sweet, sweet beige.
Put it in a deep fryer twice and then directly in my mouth.
Vandalism has to happen for society to question their own values and instigate change. Nothing ever changed from people sitting around Facebooking their thoughts or moaning to one another. Controlled environment is way scarier in a few people being labelled something for adding to their environment once in a while. Everything can be removed and forgotten, and nothing lasts forever. Seems quite like a deep thinking chap or chapette. What reactions have you had to the carrot, they ask. And a lot of people can't understand a tag, but some people say they like it. I think there's a relatable aspect. Maybe it's quite childish. The carrot speaks all languages. I could go to any country and people know what it is. Although some people might think it looks like a tapeworm or a chode. I definitely thought it looked like a chode, so I would agree. I still see some tags around, not as big. But my favourite one is actually near Sneinton Market, which is there's this alleyway that's not always open. It's just full of graffiti by loads of different artists, and there's a big carrot up quite high up on the wall near a big skull thing. Yeah. It's really quite mesmerising because it's not been tagged over. Well, the last time I went there, it's not been tagged over just by people spraying stupid scribbly shit. Incidentally, I used to have a tag when I was younger, and it was Minger Inc., which is in the style of the Metallica logo, and I don't know where it really came from. I just wanted to do a tag in the style of the Metallica M&A with the cool flourishes on the edge. Minger is quite a short word, and then going on from Metallica's Damage Incorporated. I put Inc. underneath it, so Minga Incorporated, and that's just where it started, really. And I did that for a few years. I carried around a Sharpie and would just doodle it in just random places, like really high up on the toilet wall in, is it the Carlisle in Hastings? That really shonky biker pub.
Yeah.
That was up there for a couple of years because they just didn't bother cleaning it. It's just Minga Inc. Do they do gigs there at the Carlisle?
Yeah, they got a stage.
Cool. Have you ever played there? No. Is there anywhere you'd like to play that you haven't yet?
Yeah, the Black Heart in Camden was going to possibly close because the last year has been very difficult for them to afford existing. So they set up a crowdfunder to save themselves. And massively, they got to their goal yesterday, I think it was.
Nice.
I'm not a good spokesman for it. I really should have mentioned it in the previous one, really. But yeah, I got this hat.
That sounds cool. I would like to go see your band again because it's been a long time since I've seen a band, and even longer since I've seen your band, to be fair.
Yeah, we were going to do our first gig with the new material as the band were like in April last year.
Right.
We've like spent all this time writing stuff and then getting ready and getting ourselves practiced to be able to do a live show again, and then everything happens.
Should do a quarantine gig where you're all in different houses and different rooms and edit it all together. Well, I watched something on YouTube yesterday. It was Metal Injection live thing, and that was quite cool the way they'd edit it all together. But it's definitely not the same. Definitely not.
Yeah, for one, that requires everyone to be able to play the songs on their own against the backing track, and then it looks like we're actually playing it together afterwards because you fix it in post.
You know, I don't think I've ever been to the Black Heart. I have to say, one of the people that I don't go to London-based venues that often. When I lived in London, yes, but Nottingham is all right for that sort of thing. I mean, was all right for that sort of thing. I don't even know.
You'd hope Rock City doesn't disappear, because how could it?
Rock City owns most of Nottingham's nightlife, it seems. So, well, the people that own Rock City, rather. So that's why Rock City is just still there. And rock is a really loose term for it as well. But I tell you what, you can't grow grass on rock, can you?
It starts with lichen.
It starts with lichen, but that's not really what I asked. I asked about grass, and that leads me to the next question.
Buttery smooth, yeah, like the road greased with prawn sauce.
There's no friction whatsoever there. Just keep sliding off into the distance.
Just sliding around the world, and then you fly off into space.
And then we slide right up towards Bella, who asks, if you could replace all of the grass in the world with something else, what would it be?
Moss is quite nice. I like the feeling of moss.
It's quite spongy, isn't it?
Or something like that. Not something horrendous, but yeah, just replace it all with thistles, or just make everything like Australia.
Stinging nettles.
Living but hard mode, yeah. Make it all gorse, or like something horrendous like that. Like, oh look, murder. The ground is murderous. Great.
That's definitely make sports like football more interesting, wouldn't it? People just screaming as the nettles fly up and hit their ankles and shins, just hopping around. I'll watch that. Football shit, so why not introduce an element of risk and pain and peril and stuff? Make them work for their, £170,000 a week. Does ammonia nullify the effects of stinging? So they just got to piss everywhere and then it'll be fine. So people would just spray loads of piss over the football field and it'll be great.
Would you have some sort of special sports shorts which have your wang out, or various bits hanging out free and easy?
No, because it's got to be able to be broadcast on a more conservative television channel. They would need to create some kind of sprinkler system, so they could put their wang into the sprinkler system and it would kind of come out of the bottom of their shorts like a garden sprayer thingy. What are they called? Sprinkler. Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
The garden spray machine. That could work and would make a more interesting sport.
Yeah, because it involves more urine.
So moss, definitely, because it's nice and fuzzy and stuff.
It's probably more effort than it's worth, but I'd like to make a moss carpet or mat for the bathroom. Mm-hmm. Because you can do that, and it's nice. It seems almost too good to be true. It's like, it's living and it's so soft.
And now I'm going to put my cheesy feet on it before I get into the shower. I thought that, I quite like grass as a thing that exists. So I wouldn't want it to disappear, but more if we could displace it so it could live somewhere else, but still be on the earth, but not where it is now. Like, I don't know, in someone's living room or on the top of a building or inside of Gary Busey or something, Somewhere where we know it's going to be safe But
Yeah, definitely safe inside Gary Busey.
I'll definitely replace it with something plant-based still, because you wouldn't replace it with like toothbrushes or sawdust or ants or something, you know. It's just so many ants in this grass.
Yeah, slaps the ground. There's so many ants in there.
Rolling fields of ants, just as far as the eye can see.
The fire ants exclusively.
Yeah, Julie Andrews just spinning around in circles, screaming because fire ants are crawling up her legs.
The ants.
That would be an entirely different film. Crikey.
I think it would be an entirely different existence if the ground was just constantly covered in ants. I think it would be the kind of hellscape that no one would want ever. I don't think if we had like some sort of survey, what would you like the ground replaced with? I think lava may get slightly more votes than fire ants.
Lava, at least it stays where it is.
Yeah, it oozes nicely, and you could sort of cut a bit out and then turn it into shapes.
Exactly. Like, are these fire ants, are they exclusively trapped within the bounds of the area where the grass used to be, or can they wander into your house and cause a lot of problems? Like, what's the situation? Can you accidentally tread some fire ants into your home?
Yeah, I imagine you could, because they're just ants.
Maybe we could synergize with lava and create lava shoes, so wherever you walk, you burn the ants. Anyway, what I would choose are mushrooms, because I think they're fucking neat. Edible ones, yes. Psychedelic ones, perhaps. But mushrooms, because you could just go out and just pick some, and it's unlike grass, which you can eat, I suppose.
We're not really designed to live on grass. We'd need like extra stomachs and stuff to really get the nutrients out of it.
Yeah, so mushrooms was my answer. Because you can get really sort of soft mushrooms that are a bit like moss as well. So kind of cushiony, you know, it doesn't have to be for eating.
Nice mushroomy pillow.
Exactly. I just think it would just look really cool as well, just to have all of this fungus everywhere. Just because there's so many different types of fungi.
So they're all fun guys. Oh, my spleen! The thing is, though, that mushrooms only sprout when there's a thing in the soil or the bark or wherever it is. It's like, I don't want to be here anymore.
How do you explain the fire ants, Alex? How do you explain the fire ants?
Okay, all right. In a hypothetical world, we can always have mushrooms. It's fine.
If we can always have fire ants and lava for some reason, we can always have mushrooms and moss.
Sure, yeah. Where nothing makes any fucking sense anymore. I'm fine with this. It gets a tick of approval.
In a world where electro chimp and steampunk swine can have a big fight, they might as well do it to a backdrop of fire ants, eh?
And as one hits the ground for one final time and life escapes their body, mushrooms.
There you go, mushrooms
and
grow
ants.
out of the dead. And ants, mushrooms, and then the mushrooms spore ants. This is the darkest timeline. So there you go, Bella. That was our answers. Quite happy to have grass just there, really. Just sitting there doing its job. You know, if it weren't for grass, I wouldn't have had anything to do a shit under that one time in Oxford, so... I wouldn't be able to do a shit outside if there were ants. My God, that would be a completely different story. I'll be in a wheelchair, I think, at this point. So.
All that would be left is your bones picked clean.
Just Sam goes outside on Sunday morning and finds a skeleton that was once his friend, and just a pile of poo next to him, and a couple of napkins.
And inexplicably, a big squishy snake skin. New boneless snakes.
3 for £5. You can't really get much food these days for £5. You can get even less music for £5. Maybe just 1 second's worth of music. Maybe. That's not true at all, actually, because you can go on Bandcamp and buy entire albums for £5. But studio time, a £5 would probably be a second's worth of music. So do you have...
Yeah. You'd be able to sort of say hello and then be like, get out.
Do you have any hellos for us this week?
Yes, I do.
Oh, goody.
You've got 6 to try and work out what they are. Again, there's a theme.
Oh, goody.
So here we go.
Jeez, can I have that again, please? I can't even imagine what this might be. Like, that doesn't sound like anything I recognise in my life. But as soon as you play the full version after at the end, because I'm not going to get it, I'll be like, for fuck's sake, really? And I'm sorry, I can't even compare it to a song that I know. So I'm sorry, I've fallen at the first hurdle. This is disappointing, isn't it? So
sure, and like last time, because you haven't made any guesses, I'm not going to tell you. We're going to just go on to the next one.
Of course, no, that makes sense.
Here's the next one.
Oh, that is Meshuggah. Bleed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Anyway.
Nice.
Next.
Oh, these are all Meshuggah, aren't they?
Yeah.
So this might be Autonomy Lost off of Catch 33, but it might also...
Yes, it is.
Okay. I listened to that in the shower the other day. I was like, oh, this is good shit. And again, I didn't know that was what you were going to choose, but the fun times. Anyway. Well, that's the next song, but I can't remember all the names of the fucking songs off of that album because it's pretty much all the same song. Imprint of the Unsaved?
Not this one.
Not Mind's Mirrors, that's the one after it. And then there's one sort of in between, which I don't remember the fucking name, but I know it's off that album and I know what the song is, but because of the way the album plays out, it plays out as like one massive song. I don't pay attention to what the track names are half the time.
Yeah, I have a hard time when I listen to an album. I just listen to the album and go, I know what album it is, but song.
So, again, I know what it is, but I don't know the answer, as I did last week. So we get back to that one, I guess. That is War by... Is it not... Oh, okay, I thought that was... Oh, God, that's... That sounds like it's off of Rare Tracks. It does sound like it's that song War, but obviously it's not. Ah, fuck. It might be off of their first album, Contradictions Collapse, though. I'm sorry, I can't get it with the 4 fucking snare hits. Still, like hi-hat hits. I'm never going to get that.
Yeah. All right, final one then.
I don't know the names of these fucking songs. I wish I could say I was a more attentive Meshuggah fan, and I really do like them. But I just don't know the names of a lot of the songs. Shed?
Yeah, it is. That is Shed. Congratulations. Boy, howdy. So,
wow.
The first one, you actually said what the first one was later on. This is Imprint of the Unsaved. And the other one you didn't get, sorry, you didn't get 2 of them. So this one is off the same album, I believe. Yeah, no, it is. Disenchantment. And
what was
finally,
the tit one?
This is called Clockworks.
That's off of The Violent Sleep of Reason, isn't it? Yeah, that's probably why, because that's the album I've not listened to much at all. That's probably why I didn't get it. Because I know a lot of their earlier stuff, but not so much of their later stuff. It's not because I'm a hipster, it's just because keeping up on music is hard. I'm surprised you didn't put Futile Bread Machine in there. the campfire version.
And even strobe, a pulse of flashing headlights, of synthetic souls.
Mass produced.
Yeah, no, that was a good suggestion.
I'm just going to come straight into this and say today is Saturday, the 20th of March, 2021. It was exactly 6 years ago to the day that I moved to Nottingham. Yeah, hold on. I'm just going to take a quick burp break. Just doing a shit. So, 6 years ago today, after living in London for almost 2 years, I upped sticks and moved to Nottingham. Massive lifestyle change caused a drastic reassessment of my situation. I was like, fuck, okay. But things had been building for a good while before that. So, going back even further to 2011, July 2011 to be specific, I finally visited my good friend Ross, who had lived in Nottingham since 2005. He moved up for college and kind of stayed there because that's what people do. After seeing the modestly sized city and all it had to offer, namely bars, eateries, scenic walks and all of that, I became somewhat enamoured with it, let's say, because I didn't really know what to expect, really. I just knew it was a city that had a good rock music scene. I wasn't quite prepared for just how fun it was to go on nights out. This was in 2011, when everything was open and we hadn't...
Yeah.
The effects of the recession hadn't fully smashed into all of the independent businesses yet and completely run them over. So it was fun. So I visited a fear times thereafter, once with you, actually, in Halloween 2012, if you remember that one. Which was,
everyone was Captain Spaulding.
we went to see Fear Factory, and then on the bus home afterwards, some guy got his dick out and was flapping in front of the bus for reasons beyond my understanding. Just
A need to show everyone his penis, clearly.
it wasn't needed. Like, we were tired. Your eyes hurt because you had tried to put contact lenses in your eyes the day before and it just fucked your eyeballs up.
Yeah, my eyes were not having that. Like, I managed to get one in and it's like, right, that's enough.
Anyway, after all that fun, I decided that I wanted to become a more permanent resident or fixture of Nottingham. You see, I was falling into something of a post-uni rut, let's say, like with the shit retail job keeping me just about afloat financially, but doing nothing for my motivation or mental health. As such, the prospect of uprooting and moving farther north was highly appealing. Though my path to glory wasn't exactly linear, let's say. I made a little stop off somewhere else. In summer 2013, in fact, where I was so desperate to escape retail hell that as soon as someone offered me a freelance design gig at a studio in London, I didn't think twice before handing in my notice and just fucking off and getting it sorted. I stayed with my aunt for a while, but I met a girl afterwards, like in December or November time that year, and we moved in together. And yes, that is incredibly quick, but it was either that or move back to Kent and start all again, or become homeless, I guess, which neither option seems that appealing, so it kind of worked out. We seemed to get along, so that was good. Well, at first, anyway. My sights were still firmly set on moving to Nottingham eventually. The plan now to bring my then girlfriend with me, but she didn't really seem that interested. She was more focused on... So she had just moved to London to start a career in like filmmaking and freelance filmmaking and whatnot. And she saw that as a city of opportunity, and she wasn't really interested in going anywhere else just yet. So my plans kind of got put on the back burner, I guess, especially seeing as I thought, right, I need to get a full-time job anyway just to live in London. So I managed to get a job at a small printing shop because it kind of related to design work in that respect. And then all of a sudden it was a year later and everything had been pushed aside. It was like I was committed to sort of staying in London for the time being. And so especially as I started a new job, a more design-centric job that was actually closer to home. As I've spoken before, I used to travel fucking miles and hours just to get to my old job. But this one was in Croydon, which was a 5-minute train journey that way. And I got paid more, so it was all just kind of working out, really. My relationship had started to deteriorate around then, so not all great, I suppose. And that really brought to light just how lonely London is, like especially with regards to friends, because the ones I did have that were in London were like the other side of London, and then you were in Kent. So it was either you had to plan a day or a weekend away just to see each other, and it just wasn't practical. So that, it was once every now and then. But when you did come and visit, a lot of fun was had, of course. We invented cocktails, we had a good laugh, and just a lot of sick, I guess, as well on my part.
Unsurprisingly, there was vomit involved.
Yeah, a lot of pizza and cosmonauts later. Like in my sink, not even in the toilet. I threw up in the sink. My thought was, it's closer to my face, so I won't get loads of splashback and it won't make a mess. But then there was just big chunks of pizza stuck. Because apparently I don't know how to chew my food.
There's some logic to it, but that sink wasn't, one, especially big, and two, designed for chunks of pizza to go into it.
Also, it was kind of slope, so if you threw up into it, it could slide out the other side like a...
ski slope
It's
out.
a bit like a vert ramp or something.
It's always reassuring when you've got the lullaby of someone vomiting, which sounds like they're literally chucking a bucket of fluid into something. That's the last thing you hear when you're going to sleep. It's like, oh yeah, Sam's having a great time.
That was genuinely good fun, before the sick anyway. But the voids in between all those were becoming increasingly dark and sad, really. But as an upside, my vlog game was pretty strong around that time. I'm pretty proud of all the vlogs that I did because my girlfriend at the time, she had like a job at a pub, so she was out most of the night anyway. So I just used the evenings after work to come up with ideas and do some filming and stuff. And that's one good thing to get out of that era in my life, I suppose. On the 16th of February 2015, we split up. I can see Oscar with his jumper. Everybody stop everything. Oscar has a little jumper on.
It's part of his flea treatment because he will not leave flea treatments alone.
Oh, wait, he still looks dapper.
going to have to pick him up because he'll just meow at me for about 10 minutes.
This is probably the first time we've seen him on camera. It's Oscar. That is a wonderful jumper as well. Where did you get that?
I think it's meant for a small dog.
He looks so happy. Anyway, let's continue with the story. Obviously, like, getting dumped is not a great thing. It sucks, but...
All right, I'm going to have to move the cat because he's going to knock shit over.
Okay. Determined to resume my Midlands-based plans before this happened, I began looking for career opportunities in Nottingham and the surrounding areas in the print industry because I realised I was quite good at being a print designer. So I never saw that before I started working in a print shop, almost completely through desperation first. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, much to my surprise, I actually found a branch of the franchise I was already a part of that just so happened to be looking for someone with my particular set of skills. So I sent off my CV and then got a phone call mere hours later from the manager asking for me to come up for an interview like that weekend, which timeline-wise was the 7th of March. And of course I was over the moon, but it was just like, shit, what am I going to do? I need to get my life in order really, really quickly now. So luckily my manager was genuinely one of the nicest blokes I've ever worked for. And he was totally understanding. Even the day I got dumped, I turned up to work and I was a mess, obviously. And he was like, are you okay? Do you want to go home? And I was like, I stayed half a day and then he allowed me to take 2 days off just to recover. And I was like, who the fuck does that? And he was the one that suggested it. I wasn't happy to come into work, but I felt duty bound to still, suck it up because it's
someone actually has compassion. Why is that a strange thing to think? Someone's compassionate?
I'm
what?
Not used to it in a management role, to be honest. So though he was disappointed that I chose to move on after such a short amount of time with the company, I was only there from December till February, essentially. He was more than happy to give me a glowing reference and allow me the time off to go up to the Midlands and have the interviews and everything like that. I had 2 interviews in the space of as many days, and then got offered the job pretty much straight away after the second interview. And I was like, what the fuck? That was amazing. Like, what? Help? What? I had to say that my mate Retis put me up in a hotel for the duration, which I wasn't expecting at all. And it cost him money. And I was just like, okay, thank you. So I was due to start this new job on March the 23rd, which gave me very little time to get my shit in order, I've got to be honest, because I had to, find somewhere to live. How was I going to afford the place I was going to move to? Would my current manager be cool with me handing in my notice and just packing my shit up and going that quickly? But luckily, all of that seemed to sort of fall into place. But I did sort of get a bank loan because I thought I'm going to have to need this to get a deposit on a house because I didn't have any savings because London. I called Retis's brother up and because he'd been living in Nottingham for a while and he was in a similar situation when he moved to Nottingham. And I asked him, do you know anyone that would be willing to put me up for like a week or so while I find a flat? And he said, you could stay here, mate, I've got a spare room. And I was like, fucking legend. So I was like, cheers, man. And so that was one stress out of the way. And then the final hurdle was logistics, really. How was I going to get all of my stuff, myself included, up to the Midlands in like 4 days? Alex, you actually stepped up without hesitation, like an absolute fucking legend. Even though your Honda could understandably only fit so much in it. So I then spent the next few days paring down what I was going to take with me, and I got rid of a lot of books and CDs and clothes that I didn't really wear anymore. I left my PC there, which I bought secondhand for not that much money, and to be fair, I didn't really use it compared to my laptop. It was just kind of there. I actually bought it before I moved to London so I could start doing video editing freelance, but then this other thing happened, so it kind of chucked everything out of whack. So anyway, I managed to boil it down to like 2 boxes, a hold all, a bag, and 2 guitars, pretty much. And I gave you a box of my old CDs that I didn't want, which you probably ripped and then threw away.
I kept some of them because I looked through my collection of CDs recently when I was scan everything and then they'll buy them for like 20p each. I did one of them, although the app I used was absolutely useless.
Is that what it's called? Absolutely useless.
My spleen! Pretty much ended up doing something ridiculous like typing in 700 barcodes into this fucking app. But yeah, some of the CDs I found, I was like, when did I buy this? And they must have been the ones I took from your collection.
Yeah, exactly. Even though I left a lot, nothing was really lost. I eventually saw it as shedding the shackles of my old London life. Plus, it taught me a good lesson regarding clutter, for instance. I don't have a lot of clutter. Every now and then I sort of do a cleanse and deep cleanse of my clutter and just get rid.
The deepest of cleanses. Yeah, no comment on clutter.
Yours looks manageable at the moment. I've seen that room in an absolutely hideous state before.
Mercifully, it's mostly over there.
Well, I can see your wall. I don't think I've seen that wall in a long time.
The work surface is somewhat tidy at the moment, although I am hiding some shit with my head.
So the day finally arrived. Alex pulled up and we loaded his car with my worldly possessions, bidding farewell to the flat and the ex for one last time before climbing in and driving away from it all forever. The sense of relief was almost overwhelming, though I stopped short of bursting into tears, because I definitely shed enough of those already that past month. Probably didn't have any left, but I felt so happy and elated that I was finally just free. I was a prisoner of London for 2 years. That's what it felt like anyway. So driving out of London was predictably glacial thanks to the horrible, horrible North Circular.
Was it because we went through the Blackwall Tunnel
yes.
instead of going straight out and going over across the Dartford crossing?
Yeah, we went the stupid way and it took forever to get out of London. For instance, getting from my old flat to the outskirts of London took the same amount of time to get from the outskirts of London all the way into Nottingham. And there's a massive amount of distance between those two. So that was crazy.
I'm a bit distracted by my cat licking my leg.
So once in Nottingham, we dropped off all my belongings before heading out for burritos and beers. Alex was offered a place to crash for the evening, which gave us an excuse to go out on the town and get hammered. We walked back to Rettis's brothers that night. It was a good 3 miles, I think. It was just a nice walk. We walked past the Forest Rec, which had a football game on at fucking 2 in the morning or whatever it was. We went to that Robin Hood kebab shop, which is now called Pizza Amore. I think they only had the bare minimum left because they were about to close. I think we may have just scraped the slops from the bottom. I was like, yeah, we'll have this, don't worry about that. I fell into a blissful drunken slumber and awoke the following morning a resident of Nottingham. I like to say personally that words cannot truly express just how grateful I was and indeed am for your instrumental role in the move, being both a practical and emotional support throughout. It's definitely one adventure that has changed my life forever. So here's to you, Alex. And now hurry up and get up here yourself.
Thank you. For God's sake, cat. Just licking me. Constant licking. Stop it.
Stop it.
When I visited you in London, I could see that London was dragging you down. You weren't the same as you were before.
Yeah.
In terms of your outlook and personality. You could see that it was getting to you. And, well, it didn't seem like there was any other thing I could do then but help you out when you needed... So I've got cat slobber all over my leg.
Help you out when you needed cat slobber. Yep, I definitely needed that cat slobber in my life.
When you needed to be abraded by a cat tongue. It was the right thing to do. I wanted to help because I didn't want you to be in that shit situation for any longer than you had to be.
No, well, thank you. Thank you for giving a shit. Not saying that none of my other friends gave a shit. A lot of people helped me with the move, but I think you were there. So thank you.
Yeah, sorry. I'm really distracted because the cat's like, cables. Do not. Cable.
I'm pretty happy here myself. You're on your own journey and, I wholeheartedly support that journey.
Talking about moist, heartfelt conversations, Doot Squad asks, what critically acclaimed or well-loved film by the masses do you actually think is a pile of shit and why?
I wouldn't go as far as to say that I think any film I've seen that's critically acclaimed is a pile of shit. I've seen films that are, universally a pile of shit. Here's looking at you, Birdemic. But I feel that was done on a nothing budget. So, as far as, big budget films that, swept up at the Oscars, that everyone bums that I couldn't care less about. More recently, there was that Korean film Parasite, which everyone fucking loved. And I've watched a lot of Korean films, and I thought, this is okay, but, what about all these other films that were better? They just didn't come out at the right time. But that's an honourable mention, because the one that almost everybody's seen, that I was just like, meh, is the first Godfather film. Now, before everyone goes absolutely apeshit, I read Mario Puzo's novel first, which I like very much because it had a lot of character development, and as you do in novels, they can go on and on and on, can't they? But then I went to watch the film expecting a similar experience, and I just wasn't that impressed by it. They gutted a lot of nuance out of the story and characters, which I totally get for, pacing reasons. They can't keep a 400-page book translate into like a 6-hour film or something.
Yeah, you don't want the Snyder cut.
Exactly. But it just seemed to me like a very by the numbers gangster flick, really. It's like, this is a thing that happens, and then this thing that happens, and oh, look, oh dear. Yeah, it didn't help that everyone bums it anyway. So I went in with really high expectations, going, I like gangster films. I'm not one of these people that are biased against them. I really like Goodfellas and American Gangster and all those sort of things. Just good stuff.
Casino, is that one?
Casino, also Martin Scorsese's AZ.
Scorsese. Socrates.
I'm glad it exists for what it went on to influence, but it can probably just get in the bin now, if I'm honest. There you go. Hot take. I know people are going to be furious. Like, how can you not like The Godfather? So I said, I don't hate it. I just don't fucking bum it.
Put the first one in the bin like the third one.
Yeah, the second one's all right. It's an origin story, and I quite like origin stories, you know.
Orange stories.
A blood oranging story. Blood! What about you?
This is not a hot take at all. Like you, I'm like, I can see the appeal of most films, but normally the case is I don't enjoy films that are a pile of shit anyway. I'm just like, unless they're so bad they're good. Nilbog is gobbling backwards. Stuff like that. Transformers, seemingly people like that. I think, what's the fucking point?
I agree with you. Like, why have they gone on for so long as well? Like the Michael Bay just...
It's just typical Bay bullshit. And you're just like, oh, come on. Why do... But that's probably why it's so popular. It's that sort of formulaic, everything explodes kind of thing. Not in a hard-boiled way, but in a way that's, it's just acceptable to the masses. Like, oh, great, another unoriginal film with really, really poor humour in it. It's aged as well as some of the really problematic humour in, say, like, Friends.
My God, if this was what critically acclaimed TV show, that would be it. So
straight away, just no thanks.
I know my fiance would be watching this going, how fucking dare you, because she loves Friends, but like, I can't.
I'll kill you!
Stop shitting on my childhood. I can understand that. So Transformers. What we need to see then is a Godfather and Transformers crossover.
Is it like a weird origin story where it's the mob but on the Transformers planet?
Yeah, or just Goodfellas but with the Autobots instead.
Can he also, for no apparent reason, talk like 1920s style gangsters?
I would insist upon it, in fact. You want to throw hands? So, yeah, well, thanks, Doot Squad. That's I think both of them like The Godfather, so I'm just going to get kicked in the nuts next time I see them. So
Don't at me. So you were talking about 6 years ago today. Maybe we will also talk about something that happened and happens periodically, and it's quite a thing. Was it every 10 years?
I guess you're on about the national census, which I don't know if the marketing's the same around the country, but we've got a pamphlet saying, the census is coming, which is way too much information.
Yeah, weird flex, but okay, that's how you get off, by leafleting an entire town.
Oh no. Maybe that's the come. Tomorrow, at day of recording, you have to fill in the census thing, otherwise you get a fine, I think.
You have a legal obligation or something, some malark like that.
Yeah. But what you don't have is an obligation to put a sensible job in.
And such novel and amusing concepts aren't new. Make your mind up, cat. I was going to lick my leg again, I think. You gonna do that?
Quality content.
God's sake. Now he's biting me. For goodness sake, cat.
Hey, this is a test of grace under pressure.
Yeah, it's like that Japanese game show where people get sucked off whilst trying to do karaoke.
Sorry,
Except
what?
nothing like that at all. I think it's a thing, unless that's not a fever dream. It's not something I wish to exist. I think it's something that actually exists, which is okay, Japan, okay.
You do you, I guess. So.
Yeah, you do you. I'm not going to yuck your yum here. Right. We're going to look at, or rather, we're going to talk about some jobs that people are put in senses.
We have compiled a list of silly jobs from a much bigger list of silly jobs, and now we're going to go through them alphabetically and talk about them.
These are from the late 19th century, so we've got some really good and some really weird ones. Our director's cut of this list includes things like artificial scone maker, beef twister.
Why would you need to twist beef? Just to wring it dry so you get that crumbly flavour.
Yeah. I quite like this because of the word body washer. Body.
Full frontal Labotti washer.
Yeah. Double-ended ferret. Curer of smoky chimneys. Which is, I think is a good way of saying a chimney sweep.
Yeah. Well, is it like, because you can cure bacon using sort of like a smoke type thing as well. It's just like but it's suggesting that you can actually cure chimneys as well. So you're smoking the smoky chimney. So you're basically smoker of smoky chimneys, if you look at it that way, which is very confusing.
Yeah. What help? I've got soot in my chimney. Light another fire, it'll fix it right up.
Don't worry about it. We'll smoke that smoke out. Don't worry about it. Right, okay. If you say so, sir. You're the boss.
Yeah.
You know, that's clearly your job title. Who are we to argue?
It's a bit like if you explain that sometimes fire services control fires by lighting other fires. How do we stop this fire? Light a fire. What?
Trust
you know
us,
what we're doing.
I'm a whale biologist.
Simply putting that they're dead. That's my job. I'm dead. Moving on briskly from death, we go to dog performer. Yeah, are you a dog and you perform? Or are you making dogs perform? Are you performing two dogs?
Do you string them up like marionettes and sort of like dance them around the stage whilst making really bad dog-related puns? I've got a bone to pick with you and things like that, you know. Ho-hum grumble. Hey,
My spleen!
spleen-rupturing plums. Spleen-rupturing plums.
These aren't plums, these are small hand grenades. What am I eating? Talking about rupturing, the next one's egg breaker and egg cracker.
So
Yeah, so someone sort of rolls it gently so that they sort of crack up the shell, I don't know, and then just hand it to someone. Here you go, here's an oozing egg.
they just
Enjoy.
just
Oh, I see you played hand egg before. The next one, electric bath attendant.
electricity wasn't in everyone's homes at this point in history, and you definitely wouldn't have an electric bath because obvious reasons.
I think that now that people go, that's a really silly idea, but it's not always been the case. When electricity was a new and amazing thing, a bit like when radiation was a new and amazing thing, people were like, right, let's put radioactive shit in everything because it's amazing. So people had like makeup and food and literally everything. The fucking walls were radioactive. They were like, this is great. It's going to give you health benefits somehow. But the similar thing with electricity, when it first started to become a thing, they were like, let's put electricity in everything. Like you'd have some rather ill-advised ideas, like electrified tablecloths. So you could spike into them lights and it would work. But of course, this is mains voltage we're talking about, so it's fucking dangerous. So I could imagine at some point someone made, like, in effect, a heating element like you have in a kettle that you can just stuff in your bath so you can keep your bath nice and warm. What we got next? Ferret weaver.
Because they are bendy, the bendiest of animals.
Oh boy, are they bendy.
Plat my ferrets.
Following on in that theme, a fish bender.
Just like... So I reckon you could get a good bend on the fish, but why would that be a viable career option?
Moving on to something a bit more practical, invisible net maker.
How is that? So it's basically a mime artist that's just having everyone on. Like, what are you doing? I'm making an invisible net. What do you think I'm doing?
But he wouldn't say it because he's a mime.
There's only certain types of mime. It's only the street mimes that are popular. It's like... that's just one subsection of mimes. In fact, I think it's French mime or something. It's like, so yes, if it was one of those mimes, they wouldn't have spoken. But if it's just someone who enjoys doing mime, then...
There you go, I stand corrected. Okay, so in some situations, if you're miming making a net that's also an invisible net, you may or may not... So if they're in Paris, maybe they wouldn't tell you because they don't speak. Proprietor of solution for protection of turnip... from fly.
So this sounds like it was translated from Chinese back to English again. So Chinglish.
Random waller?
They randomly turn up and build a wall, or they build...
Sorry, I'm having things thrown at me. Thank you.
Anyway, as I was saying before, that projectile just flew at your face. Yeah, someone who makes random walls, or...
Someone who randomly walls up things,
yeah,
I don't know. They're accidentally inventing Fortnite. Teacher of wax flowers. Do you teach wax flowers, or do you teach people how to make wax flowers? Also, is there much need for wax flowers? Built a dam to stop the ants coming in with wax flowers. It doesn't have to just be functional; it can be artistic.
Yes.
It's a big middle finger up to the ants. Get away from my house, you slags! Travels with an entire horse.
So the fact that they had to add that
Stipulate
that it has to be an entire horse, not like 2/3 of a horse, or sort of like
Yeah,
just
Yeah,
horse shards or something.
implies that someone does travel with a partial horse.
Exactly.
Fragments of a horse. Here are my horse fragments. Finally, Turnip shepherd.
That sounds like a noble profession where, you need to make sure those turnips don't go wayward and start escaping and running into the road, because
Yeah.
if you drive along in your car, don't you just hate it when just out of nowhere hundreds of turnips just flood the road, and then there's this poor exasperated looking farmer trying to get them all out of the road again so you can drive past.
Valiantly trying to use his invisible net to scoop them back into some field somewhere.
Which are full of either mushrooms or fire ants, depending on whom you ask.
Nice pillowy mushrooms for your turnips. So what will this year's census bring in terms of humorous jobs?
I don't know. We know there's that whole thing with the religion of being Jedi, which since 2001 just keeps getting more and more numerous. I think I'll just bring back a classic and just put one of the ones from the list, like a travels with an entire horse or something. just bring them back into circulation, sort of keep the joke going.
I'm quite partial to whatever a beef twister might be.
Following on from the census, the next big thing, I guess, is Easter, isn't it? Celebrate the death and resurrection of a hippie by eating formed bits of chocolate. So our final question is related to Easter as well. So seeing as it is Easter soon, he has asked a one-worded question, and that is egg.
No.
Fair enough.
That'll be a no, unless it's really cheap.
Yeah. I've already egged, because Aldi do some nice vegan eggs, chocolate eggs. So they come with like truffles and stuff. I'm more interested in the truffle aspect. But it's just, you're stuck indoors during this time. You might as well have something to look forward to. It's like, we eat chocolate anyway, but now it's in a different shape. So, yay.
It's a new fun shape.
A new fun shape, which practically is a nightmare because you've got to sort of punch it to break it open, and then it falls into loads of shards. You can never twist it or make it go in half properly. And then you're just left with all these differently sized pieces. So you can never have an even amount per day unless you, I don't know, that anal that you want to weigh it or something. And what's always got me, even since a child, is why is the fucking egg hollow? You're paying for like a chocolatey void. Like you should, just fill it with something. It doesn't have to be more chocolate. Just moss, ants, mushrooms. Who knows? Just
mushrooms. Yeah, lava inexplicably. Yeah, you smash it open, and what's inside is just an upscaled real egg contents. You're like, well, I didn't want this.
Just oozes out everywhere. Like, no.
just yolk just flops on your leg, and you're just like, oh, this is disgusting.
Happy Easter to the ground.
I'm an adult. Yeah. Actually, yeah, going on the whole filled egg, could you just have like them chocolates that got booze in them?
Yeah.
Just scale that up to egg shape.
Oh, that would be amazing. Like a giant cream egg. Why has no one manufactured and mass-produced a giant cream egg, which probably has about 8,000 calories in it, and you would die if you tried to eat it all? But
it'd be so sickly. It'd be horrendous.
Or just edit.
I think people have done something like that where they've made giant versions of a cream egg.
Well, yeah, I know people have done it, but Cadbury's haven't. Come on, Cadbury's. You want us to forgive you for all the bad shit you've done in your life? This will it won't help, but it'll get there, won't it? Or a Russian doll style egg where you use just a smaller egg inside the egg and it just keeps going. So you're not filling it with chocolate, but you've got smaller iterations of it. And then the last one can be a cream egg.
Or like one of them mini eggs.
Oh yeah, just the mini egg, and then there's an even smaller, just an ant egg in the middle.
1 in 100 people get an egg filled with ants.
Yay!
Favourite.
So much negative press on that egg. We're all mum 39 opens egg to find full of fire ants. It's quoted, well, I wasn't expecting them to be anywhere but where grass used to be. I'm just very confused. The actual quote is as they go down her mouth.
My spleen!
Oh man, we've ruptured our spleens today with puns. Absolutely pummeled ourselves and our audience with
what you could say were excellent puns.
That's it. My spleen has exploded. That's it, Alex. We need to end the show so we could both go to hospital and sort our fucking spleens out, really. So that is it for this week. It's getting very humid in this room because I hang my washing up just before I start recording, and I have to close the window to stop outside noises happening. So I can feel the moisture in the air. My hair's probably going frizzy. You can find us on YouTube, where I probably have frizzy hair now, and Spotify, where you can't even see that I've got any hair, at Always an Adventure with Alex and Sam. If you head over to Twitter at AAA_AlexSam, you'll be met with a wall of random bullshit, mostly. And I also made another update about us pooing, so that's the content. The previous one, somebody actually liked it. So, like, what can I say? Just giving the people what they want. Okay.
Yeah.
I did try to engage with an audience on Twitter, actually, and it didn't work out to my merit because I basically got shot down for being a spam bot because I just commented on somebody else's tweet. It's like, hey, why don't you try listen to our podcast? It was like, spam, you are a spam bot. And this guy took a screenshot of his report it for spam thing and drew a red circle around it. So I thought, I'm going to be a bit sarcastic. So I said, oh, you know how to draw red circles? Your mother must be so proud of you. And he's like, well, yeah, well, at least she isn't disappointed that I'm spamming someone's Twitter. I'm like, I'm out. Fuck it. No, I'm not doing this. Like, and just really am trying. All I'm doing, we don't make any money out of this. We're just trying to get our stupidity out there for more people just to have their spleens ruptured as a result of it.
Make them think, what would they replace grass with while you're doing your day job of bending fish?
Exactly. And we would like you to ask some questions because I am running out of people that I know to ask us. Like,
We only know so many people.
yeah, exactly. And therefore only have so many people that could possibly give us questions. So if you're a new listener, first of all, sorry. And second of all, can you please submit a question just on our Twitter or anywhere else, anywhere you can comment that we look at, which I've just told you. So, you've just listened to it. So whatever. That would be really cool. Right, anyway.
Yeah, I've got nothing to plug.
I've put him on the spot now. Look, he's squirming. He's visibly squirming.
I'm like a boneless snake.
Just wiggling around. There you go.
Yeah.
What's that? Well, in which case, you could technically plug yourself into a lot of things that fit your form, sort of,
Or I can make my form fit it.
Exactly. You could be a stretchy, what was it that they called? The tanukis.
Yeah. I'm like a tanuki's ball sack.
I think we should just fucking stop all this meandering guff place now. So, over to you.
Take care. Take care. Take care.
Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under. Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under.